Hi, this is Linda Van Doren, and I'm going to share my equity story. I'm going to talk about some committee work that I do for a group called the Denver Education Attainment Network. This is a collective impact group that focuses on increasing educational attainment goals and closing the attainment gap for students in Denver. The goal here aligns to the Colorado Department of Higher Education's goal of 66% of the state's populace will have gained a meaningful post-secondary credential by the year 2020. The members of DEAN include partners from across the metro area, as well as the Department of Higher Education. And what's missing from this slide are industry partners as well, who are supporting the efforts along with some of the foundations that are providing funding for this group. And what DEAN is looking at doing is really focusing on students in Denver Public Schools and working with the partners that were listed earlier to help get more Denver Public School students enrolled in and successfully completing post-secondary credential attainment. This slide highlights some of the opportunity gaps that exist, and if you look at the fact that 61% of Denver Public School high school students do graduate, only 17% of those students go on to earn a credential in 4 years. One of the ways that the group is looking to decrease those gaps that we see in attainment, persistence and enrollment, and success in general is recognizing that linear pathways from the K-12 system into the post-secondary system and then into the workforce are no longer reality for many of our students, and that in fact many students start, stop, enter, exit workforce, post-secondary, K-12. It's a very fluid pathway anymore that students are taking, and that we as education providers need to honor that and work together to streamline the pathways and reduce the barriers where possible. The intended outcomes of the group, like I said earlier, do align with those outcomes that the Department of Higher Education has set for the state. But really it's a student-centered way of trying to fix systems that exist within the education industry or institutions, and then also at those specific institutions where we work. And that includes decreasing barriers to enrollment, increasing student successes by reducing the time and cost to degree. So that means articulating more credits from one educational institution to another, and really looking at those transition points along the way, and as a team looking at the systems as a whole, how students transition through them and how we can reduce those barriers. I just have a couple slides here that level set the expectations from the state around the goals of that post-secondary credential attainment. And this is an effort that is statewide, and it's not just at the Department of Higher Ed, but it's also the Department of Education, the Department of Labor and Employment, and really our industry and workforce partners as well. Some really interesting information here can be found at the Department of Higher Education's website in their master plan. Again, there's a very aggressive goal of reaching a 66% post-secondary credential attainment by the year 2020. We're currently at about 56%, and we only have 2 years to go. So there's a big discussion right now around what counts as a meaningful credential. And there's a lot of debate about this now in higher education and in industry. An example is, can an industry recognized credential that maybe doesn't contain credits count toward that credential attainment? A great example of that is in the computer industry, where maybe a student doesn't have to go to college, but they can take a Cisco networking class and attain the credential that the industry recognizes as value. So in summary, I have found that working in this group has been really beneficial. I have seen some of the barriers coming down. Some of the challenges that I see in my role are around accreditation and valuing instructor credentials. And one of the challenges in articulating credits among institutions of higher education often comes down to that accreditation and perception of that as a barrier. So if, for example, a teacher at Emily Griffith Technical College doesn't have a master's degree, will another college value the coursework that they provide and accept the credits that would transfer? Statewide articulation agreements say that they should, but in reality it doesn't always happen. So in that sense, this group, this Dean group, involves both academic and support services teams to ensure that those barriers are reduced or eliminated. Um, we're addressing real challenges. I talked about the accreditation as a huge one, and really this is an opportunity to leverage relationships to increase opportunities for our students. It's an exciting project. We'll see where things go, but I'm looking forward to reporting back. So thank you for your time today, and let me know if any of you listening to this are interested potentially in participating.